You know, when people think about solving their personal financial problems, there's always that one, like, universal, very human
Or
fantasy.
winning a lottery, right.
Yes, exactly. The giant cardboard check,
Yeah.
uh, the confetti dropping from the ceiling, all your problems just instantly vanishing into thin air because you happen to pick the right six numbers.
Right, yeah. It's the ultimate magic money rescue plan.
Mhm.
Like, it's totally binary. You have no money, and then suddenly, without having to actually change your habits or build a business, you just have all the money.
Exactly. And, when you step into the nonprofit world, that exact same fantasy exists, but it goes by a slightly different name. It sounds a little something like, we just need one good grant to fund everything.
Oh, man. Which is, without a doubt, the most common and probably the most dangerous limiting belief in the entire nonprofit industry.
Yeah.
It's what you might call diagnostic muddy waters. Like, it completely misdiagnoses what a grant actually is, and more importantly, how a grant actually functions in the real world.
Yeah. Right. And clearing up those muddy waters is exactly why we are here today. So welcome to this deep dive. Now, just to set the stage for you right up front, we are operating today as Alesha's, and that's pronounced Alesha's dedicated AI team.
That's right.
Our mission today is to help Alesha teach her proprietary concepts and totally demystify the often overwhelming grants world. So we are pulling from her master resources. We've got the Grant Writing Teaching Annual, launching a successful grant program, and the Master Grant Method.
And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the ultimate goal of this deep dive is to shortcut the learning curve for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We really want to take grant writing from being this incredibly stressful, reactive scramble, where you're staring at a blank page at midnight, just chugging coffee.
We've all been there.
Right. And transform it into a strategic, repeatable, five-stage framework. Because Alesha's core philosophy is incredibly simple, but it is profound. Grants are a strategy. They are not magic money.
Right.
And they are certainly not a complete rescue plan for a sinking ship.
Okay, so let's unpack this framework. If this is a journey, we obviously have to start at stage one, which Alesha calls grant ready.
Yeah.
And here's where we get a massive reality check.
A huge one.
Because before you even think about opening a Word document, before you even type the words Dear Funder, you really have to take a hard look at your back office reality.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is that most people naturally assume grant writing is a writing problem. I mean, it has writing right there in the name.
Sure, yeah.
But great writing cannot fix a weak operational plan. If your internal operations are a mess, a beautifully written narrative is just not going to save you.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so stage one is entirely about assessing your foundation. To do this, Alesha uses a proprietary model called the 4 Foundations of Readiness.
Let's actually dig into the mechanics of those because they are incredibly practical.
Yeah.
So foundation number one is infrastructure. This is, your bylaws, your active board of directors, your conflict of interest policies. The source materials actually point out that a truly grant-ready organization can prove its legal and structural legitimacy in 5 minutes or less.
Precisely. You shouldn't be digging through dusty filing cabinets for a week just to prove you're a real entity.
Yeah, exactly.
And that leads to foundation number 2, which is programs. Now, the golden rule here is you need a program, not just a passion.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, a funder wants to see how you are actively and systematically solving a problem, not just that you care about it deeply. So this means having logic models and clear, measurable outcomes.
Let me pause you there for a second because we hear terms like that thrown around a lot. For the listener who might be, newer to this, what actually is a logic model in practice?
That's a great question. A logic model is basically just a visual map. It shows a direct chain of cause and effect.
Okay.
So it outlines exactly how your day-to-day activities, let's say tutoring 10 kids on a Tuesday, directly lead to your long-term results, like increasing high school graduation rates in your city. It proves you have an actual mechanism, not just good intentions.
Got it. So a map of cause and effect, which leads right into the third foundation, financials. Do you have actual working budgets? Can you track restricted funds separately? And again, just to clarify for everyone, restricted funds meaning?
Meaning money a funder gave you specifically for a very particular purpose.
Right.
Let's say they give you $50,000 specifically to build a new playground. You need the accounting systems in place to prove you didn't, accidentally spend that playground money on the electric bill for your main office.
Right, yeah. I actually love this line from the text regarding financials. It says, funders don't expect you to be rich. they expect you to be responsible.
Yes, and that ties directly into the fourth and final foundation, which is capacity.
Mm.
This is all about staff time, volunteer bandwidth, tech systems.
Yeah.
A funder does not want you to burn out your team trying to spend their money. They have their own goals they're trying to achieve through you, so they need to know you have the actual human bandwidth to deliver what you promise, track the data, and report back to them without the whole organization just collapsing from stress.
Okay, so looking at all four of those, applying for a grant without your infrastructure and financials in order is basically like inviting a health inspector into a restaurant kitchen before you've even bought a refrigerator.
That's exactly it.
Like, they aren't looking at how delicious your menu sounds. They're looking
Yeah.
to see if you can safely store the ingredients.
Yes.
But, okay, let me push back for a second here. Let's look at the real world. What if our project idea is just unbelievably amazing? What if it's literally going to cure a local crisis, save lives, and we just need like 50 grand to do it? Won't funders overlook a missing balance sheet or a slightly messy board of directors if the idea is just compelling enough?
I mean, it is so tempting to believe that, but Alesha addresses this directly, and the firm answer is no.
Really? No exception.
No, they will not overlook it. Grant readiness is what makes a funder say, yes, we trust you with our money. It is your operational infrastructure, not just your compelling narrative, that determines your fundability. Think about it from their perspective. If you cannot produce a basic operating budget, the funder has to assume you cannot safely manage their $50,000 check. Readiness isn't about being a perfect, flawless organization, but it is about being prepared and trustworthy.
Okay, message received. The health inspector needs to see the refrigerator.
Yeah.
So let's say we've done the work. Our foundation is rock solid. We are officially grant ready.
Awesome.
The natural, completely understandable instinct at this point is to get overconfident and just rapid fire apply to every single grant on the internet.
Right, the spray and pray method.
Exactly. Anyone with an email address and a checkbook gets a proposal. Yeah. But that is exactly what we shouldn't do, right?
Right. That instinct leads directly to burnout. So this is where we shift to stage 2, which is grant planning. And the motto you really have to internalize here is stop chasing, start choosing.
I love that. Stop chasing, start choosing.
Yeah, you have limited capacity. You simply cannot apply for everything. You have to shift from being highly reactive to being fiercely selective.
So how do we actually do that?
Well, to facilitate this, Alesha teaches the grant planning funnel. It's a filtering process with 5 steps: scan, sort, select, schedule, and stack.
I really want to zoom in on the sort phase because the mechanics of this are brilliant. The sources detail a tool called the Grant Fit Scorecard.
Yes, the scorecard is a game changer.
Right, because instead of just sitting in a room and guessing if a grant is a good idea based on a gut feeling, you actually score it out of 10 points based on 5 specific criteria.
Let's break those 5 criteria down, because this scorecard is how you protect your organization's energy. First up, mission match. Does the funder's focus actually align with your core values?
Okay, that's one.
Second, program readiness. Do you already have a program developed for what they want to fund, or would you have to invent one from scratch? Third is timeline feasibility. Can you write a strong competitive proposal before the deadline without your team going into panic mode?
That's a big one.
Huge. Fourth, capacity to deliver. If you actually win the money, can you realistically do the work? And fifth, award worth. Is the amount of money actually worth the administrative effort of applying and doing the quarterly reporting?
So each of those 5 categories gets 0 to 2 points. A perfect match is a 10. But here is the brutal truth of the scorecard. Anything scoring under a 7 goes straight into the later pile.
Yep, straight to the later pile.
And I have to challenge this. Wait, you're telling me to walk away from a grant if it scores a 6 out of 10? What if that 6 out of 10 grant is offering $100,000 and we desperately need to make payroll? Are we really just leaving that on the table?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. If you start chasing money that doesn't align with your core goals, let's say it's a 6 out of 10 on mission match, you will experience what is called mission drift, and it is a fatal trap.
Mission drift. Walk us through how that actually happens.
Well, let's say your organization is a homeless shelter for adults, but you find this massive grant that only funds after-school arts programs for kids.
Okay, totally different demographic.
Right, but you need the money, so you say, well, we can hire an art teacher and bring some kids into the shelter. If you take that money, you are now legally obligated to do the work they ask for.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, suddenly your homeless shelter is spending half its time and energy running a mandatory after-school art program just to satisfy a grant requirement. You lose focus on your actual mission, your staff gets confused and overworked, and you burn out.
Oh, wow. This sounds exactly like dating. Just because a funder has money doesn't mean they are a good match for you. You shouldn't be changing your entire personality, or in this case, your core programs, just to get a second date.
That is the perfect analogy. The source text explicitly warns against this. It says, don't twist your mission to fit the funder. Find funders who already support your kind of work. The scorecard just takes the emotion out of it. It forces you to look at the reality of the partnership.
Okay, so we've swiped left on the bad matches, we've used the scorecard, and we found our perfect 10 out of 10 funder. Our foundation is solid. What next? Now we finally have to write the proposal right.
Right, stage 3, grant writing and submitting.
But again, Alesha's methodology throws a wrench in how most people do this. She insists that you never, ever start from a blank page.
Never. This is where the master grant method comes into play. The core strategy here is to build a reusable master proposal. But here is the key distinction. You build it for one specific project.
One project, not the whole organization.
Exactly. You are not writing a sprawling history of your entire organization. You are not writing a grocery list of everything you do. You detail one clear, highly fundable project. You build this master document, and then you adapt it for different funders using what Alesha calls the RITE method.
WRITE. Let's actually look at the mechanics of this acronym because of a very clear workflow. W, work the guidelines. This means you start with their rules, not your ideas.
Like, if they ask for 12-point Times New Roman and a strict 2-page limit,
you don't send a 5-page glossy brochure. They will literally throw it in the trash without reading it.
Oh, 100%. Next is R, reuse smartly. You pull the core arguments, the budget details, and the problem statements directly from that master proposal you already built.
That saves so much time.
It really does. And then I have to illustrate with stories and stats. You have to show them the impacts, not just tell them. Balance the hard data with human stories.
Yeah. And then T, tailor the tone and format. This is crucial. A small local family foundation reads completely differently than a massive federal government agency. You have to speak their language.
Absolutely.
And finally, E, edit, then submit.
It's a highly efficient system. It completely prevents that dreaded cycle where you are just, reinventing the wheel every single time a new deadline approaches.
Okay, I love this system. But as Alesha's AI team, I absolutely have to bring up the AI elephant in the room. I mean, we are sitting right here.
I knew this was coming.
Right. If the entire goal of this stage is just to build a master proposal and save time, why go through all this manual labor? Why can't I just open up a chat window, throw in a few bullet points about my nonprofit, and ask an AI to write the whole proposal for me? Like, why not save myself 20 hours of work?
It is the ultimate modern temptation, isn't it? But Alesha has a very strict standard for her AI team and for grant writers utilizing this framework. The rule is this: use AI to support your thinking, not replace it. Use AI to improve clarity, not invent substance.
Not invent substance.
Oh.
That sounds like the danger zone.
It is the absolute danger zone. Look, AI is an incredible tool. It is fantastic for organizing your messy thoughts or summarizing a really dense 50-page federal guideline document or refining your tone to sound more professional.
Right, the administrative heavy lifting.
Exactly. But AI does not know the streets of your local community. It does not know the actual real-world numbers in your bank account. If you let an AI write the proposal from scratch to save time, it will inevitably hallucinate outcomes.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge problem.
It will fabricate statistics to make you sound good. It might even invent community partnerships that don't exist.
And if a funder calls up that imaginary community partner to verify, you are done.
You are caught, and you will be permanently blacklisted. The grant writer retains ultimate ethical responsibility for every single word submitted. A polished lie generated by an AI is still a lie, and it will destroy your credibility with a funder forever.
Wow.
So AI is your editor, your assistant, your brainstorming partner. It is never your author.
That makes total sense. That's just practical survival, not just theory. Okay, so we've used our master proposal. We've tailored it beautifully. We used AI as an assistant, not an author, so there are no fake community partners in our text.
Good job.
We hit submit. Time to pop the champagne, crack open a beverage, and relax. Right? We crossed the finish line.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Hitting send is just the beginning of the real work. That brings us to stage 4, relationship building. The way you handle the aftermath of the submission, like the waiting period and the eventual answer, that determines your entire future funding ecosystem. You really have to remember, funders are human beings. They are not ATMs where you punch in a proposal and cash comes out.
Yeah, there's a quote from the text that perfectly encapsulates this. It says, "The proposal gets you in the door. The relationship keeps you in the room."
That's a great quote.
To manage this phase, Alesha uses the CARE model, C-A-R-E. Communicate, ask, report, engage.
Right, and if we really unpack the mechanics of the CARE model, it requires your organization to have two distinct strategies in place before you even hear back. A win strategy and a loss strategy.
Okay, let's bring those down.
So the win strategy is pretty much what you'd expect. When they say yes, you celebrate, you immediately assign a dedicated grant manager so the ball doesn't get dropped, you meticulously track your outcomes, and you submit your financial reports on time. Basically, you do exactly what you promised you were going to do.
Right. But the loss strategy. This is where organizations really stumble. I want to address you, the listener, directly for a second here. Think about how incredibly tempting it is to just ghost a funder when you get a rejection letter.
Oh, it's so common.
You put hours into this proposal, you feel defeated, maybe a little embarrassed, and your instinct is to just delete the email, grumble about it, and move on.
It's basic human nature to avoid the source of rejection. It stings. But Alesha teaches a vital reframe here. A no from a funder is really just a reset for the next funding cycle.
Like a not right now.
Exactly. It's a not right now. Your loss strategy should be proactive. Send a thank you note anyway. Thank them for the time they took to review your application. Politely ask if they have any feedback or scoring rubrics they can share to help you improve for next time. And ask to keep them on a nurture list to send them occasional high-level updates about your work.
Because the person who said no to you this year might be the exact same person holding the checkbook next year. If you ghost them, you look purely transactional, like you only cared when they had money to give. But if you stay in touch and ask for feedback, you look like a mature partner. As the text says, you don't need a grant to start a relationship, but you do need a relationship to grow a funding partnership.
Which perfectly sets up the final step of the entire framework. Stage 5, refine and repeat.
The finish line.
This stage is your burnout prevention protocol. It's how you ensure that every single grant doesn't feel like a 5-alarm fire drill. You take all the lessons, the data, and the feedback from stage 4, whether you won or lost, and you feed them back into your organizational machine.
Yeah. This is driven by the REUP cycle. Reflect, edit, update systems, plan. Let's dig into these. First, reflect. You conduct a proposal debrief. And what I found so surprising in the source is that Alesha insists you do a debrief even for the grants you win.
Yes, she does.
Why debrief a win? We got the money.
Because winning doesn't mean the internal process was healthy. You might have won the grant, but maybe your team had to work 3 weekends in a row to hit the deadline.
Ouch.
Yeah. Maybe your program director and your finance director got into a screaming match over the budget. That is a system failure, even if you got the check. You have to reflect on what broke down so you can fix it.
Wow. That is such a crucial perspective shift. Okay, so you reflect. Then E, edit. This means updating your boilerplate language.
Right.
For those who might not know, boilerplate is that standard pre-written text about your organization's history and mission that you use as a baseline. You need to edit this regularly. You do not want to be caught using 2023 community statistics in a 2026 grant application.
Exactly. You have to keep the master proposal fresh.
Yeah.
Then you update systems. This primarily means creating or updating a grant SOP, a standard operating procedure. This is a literal document outlining how your organization handles grants from start to finish.
That SOP is critical for survival. Because if your main grant writer or your development director suddenly leaves the organization, you do not want all that hard-earned institutional knowledge walking out the door with them.
No, you definitely don't. You write it down so the next person can pick up the playbook, and then finally, P, you plan.
Right. You look 3 to 6 months ahead at the funding calendar. You start the next cycle ahead of the curve, not behind it. The entire refine and repeat stage is about intentional compounding improvement.
Yeah.
It is the evolution from a reactive scramble to a proactive system. You never have to restart from zero again. You just refine the engine you've already built.
Okay, let's take a breath and look at the massive journey we've just mapped out for you today. We started in those muddy waters, the chaotic scramble of blank pages, the midnight deadline stress, and that toxic myth of magic lottery money.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
And we've walked through a systematic framework to get you to a streamlined, sustainable process that actually protects your team's energy. Get ready, get set, get funded,
And what's truly vital to remember is that this framework scales to whatever reality you are in. It works if you are a one-person development shop juggling a million hats, and it works if you are a seasoned consultant trying to build repeatable processes for massive clients. It just brings order to the chaos.
It really does. It takes the mystery out of the process and replaces it with mechanics. Well, that wraps up our journey through the framework today in this deep dive.
Before we go, though, there's one final thought I want to leave you with. Something that fundamentally shifts the power dynamic of this entire process.
Oh, I like the sound of this.
We often talk about grant writing as if it's begging for a handout. It feels incredibly vulnerable. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, every single application you submit is essentially asking the funder, is this project a wise investment in our community?
Great investment, right.
Yeah. If we truly treat grants like high-value investments rather than charity, what does that make your funders? It makes them your shareholders. And shareholders don't just want warm, fuzzy feelings. They want a tangible return on their community investment.
That completely flips the script.
It really does. Think about that. How would your internal preparation change? How would your confidence in your next pitch change if you walked into the room not as a charity asking for a favor, but as an exclusive investment portfolio offering a shareholder a chance to change the world with you?
Yeah, you aren't playing the lottery. You're building an ecosystem. And that is a deep dive worth taking. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, it's Alesha, and I thank you for watching or actually listening to this deep dive with my AI team. If you enjoyed what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. If you have any questions, please be sure to comment them below, and I, not my AI team, will answer them for you. Again, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.